Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, hi, I'm Brittany. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here today. So today we're going to be reviewing and swatching the new Jeffree Star Jawbreaker palette. So if you guys want to see if this palette's worth picking up, let's go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and get into the swatches. Virgin. So this one's definitely not the most pigmented white, but it's good to use to kind of set your eyeshadow primer or just to use as a base. Good Morning. This one you could also use as a base color just because it has a more pink undertone, but it is that same kind of sheer formula. Bubblegum. So even though this one's a brighter shade, I do feel like it's a little bit sheer and it's more of a buildable formula just from looking at the swatch. Wow. This one was definitely bright and really pigmented and really smooth on the arm. Suck. This one went on exactly the same, except it's just a different color, but the same pigmentation and same kind of smooth effect on the skin. Licorice. I think this is the most true to red color that I own, and it went on super pigmented and smooth as well with like no patchiness. Cute. So even though this one's a pastel kind of bluish color, it went on the skin super pigmented and opaque. This one looks a lot brighter in the pan than it does like on the swatch, but on the swatch it looks more of just like a true pink. Gumdrop. And for this one, it's the same exact thing as the blue. It's kind of that pastel purple shade, but it's very opaque and smooth. Snack. So I feel like this one in the pan, it looks more like an orangey pink, but on the swatch, it's just your true kind of icy pink, and it's really like foiled without being glittery, if that makes any sense. Brain Freeze. With this blue, it's super opaque, even though it's kind of that baby blue shade, which I like. Jawbreaker. So in the pan, this one looks more icy than it does on the swatch. On the swatch, it does look like it has a more of a golden hue to it. And what? This one looks like it has more of a pinky hue in the swatch than it does in the pan. Orange juice. So this one was a little bit more powdery just because it's that shimmer kind of formula, but it's super opaque. Sour. This is just a really true green. Soaked. This one looks a lot brighter in the pan than it does in the swatch, and also in the swatch there's a little bit of patchiness, but nothing too crazy. Raspberry. This one looks a lot more berry in the pan, but once you swatch it, it's just kind of another true red. It's just a little bit deeper than the one we swatched before. Cotton Candy. So this one is definitely super duper powdery and chunky, but once you kind of smooth it out, it's super opaque and really pigmented. Lemon Drop. So this one wasn't as powdery as the previous one, but it's still really like kind of foiled and shows up opaque. Bite Me. So this one is still pigmented, but it's not as foiled as some of the other shimmers. Cherry Wet. And this one is just a red with a more pink undertone compared to the other two. Tasty. So this one is perfect. It's just your perfect cool tone brown. Cone. This one is more of your buildable formula, kind of like the first two that we swatched. So you're definitely gonna have to build this one up. Delicious. So this one is really deep, but I do see some patchiness in there and a little bit of dryness. So let's go ahead and get into the review. So I first took the color Virgin, and I just went ahead and used that to set my eyeshadow primer, and I was just wearing my MAC paint pot in the shade Soft Ochre, and as you guys could see, it was kind of sheer. It's not a super duper opaque white, which I mean, I could kind of tell that from the swatch, so I just kind of used it to set everything because I didn't want to use like a tacky base today. Then I took the color Bubblegum, which was not super duper opaque, but I liked it. It was kind of more buildable, and it blended into the crease really nice on top of that white shade. Next up, I took Gumdrop, and I put that into my crease, and oh my gosh, guys, you will see on camera how pigmented this is. Even though it's that pastel-y purple, it still showed up super opaque, and I didn't have to work at it to build it up as much, and it just added a nice depth without being too dark, if that makes any sense, because it is that pastel shade, and that was just like my favorite shade that I used in today's look just because it performed so well. So for the shimmers, I used the shade Snack, and that went on beautifully with a brush, nice and pigmented. I didn't have to use my finger, and it didn't like emphasize any lines or wrinkles on my eyes. Then I took the shade Cotton Candy and I applied it to the other half of my lid, and I used the same brush, but it didn't go on as opaque as I would like. It looks a little bit brighter in the pan, so I decided to go in with my finger, and that definitely helped. But this one is a more chunkier shade, so I did end up having some fallout, so you want to be careful with this one just because it's more on the powdery side. And as you guys saw, I did have like a cut crease going on before I applied the shimmer, so that concealer kind of helped them stick to it. But if I didn't have that concealer on, I honestly think that the shimmers would have performed the same way on just like a set base. And then for the lower lash line, I took Tasty, which is this cool tone brown. It's so pretty. It's like a nice kind of definition color without it being too dark, and it went on super pigmented but not too dark. Like, it's really true to color. And then I just took the two shades that we used on the top to kind of go ahead and blend out that brown, and they all blended really nicely together. Now the brown kind of blended away a little bit just because it is more of a lighter brown, not so much a deeper brown, and so I just went in and touched it up and everything was fine after that. So for the inner corner, I went ahead and took Jawbreaker, and it had really nice pigmentation. It gives you that nice pop, which I love that this palette has like an inner corner shimmer like that, because I always do an inner corner shimmer for a look. I just said that like so many times, I feel like. But I also took some of that under the brow, and it's a nice brow bone highlight as well, and I didn't have no chunkiness or anything. It's nice and pigmented. So my overall thoughts on this palette is that I really do enjoy it. I can't wait to keep using it. I'm so excited. These colors just really inspire me. They're just perfect. I think this palette is definitely worth the money. You get quite a big pan size, and you get lots of variety of colors. You could also go kind of a neutral route if you wanted to. I know it's kind of hard thinking about that looking at this palette, but you definitely could do a neutral look if you tried. And so I would rate this palette a 5 out of 5. And so that is going to be everything for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions for me, leave it down in the comments down below. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, BritanyRaquell, go ahead and subscribe. I do make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so that's 3 times a week. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!